On the first episode of Nostalgic Reflections, Dan goes deep into the Cranberries song Dreams. Welcome to the Nostalgia Test Podcast, the show where three longtime friends put pop culture's past to the ultimate test, the Nostalgia Test. Hey everyone, this is Dan from the Nostalgia Test Podcast, and welcome to the first ever Nostalgic Reflections episode. I'm really psyched about doing this and starting this series of episodes here on the podcast, and just a little bit about what I've been thinking about and how this came about. So a few months ago or so, probably maybe even last year, I started doing a series of small TikToks, short TikToks actually, and then, reels where I wrote very tiny reflections on songs that I liked or bands that I liked, and it was just like kind of me and then the words, over me. People really liked it. It got a really good response, and so I decided, well, I'm a writer. Let me start doing longer reflections, and this is the first one. And so took some time to write this very personal reflection on a song that has just been with me for a very long time, and in the last couple of years just been listening to it so much. It's the song Dreams by the Cranberries, and it's when I share the piece with you, you'll see why it's something that just been kind of obsessed with. But I feel like there are songs that transcend so much about what we do here, meaning like transcending nostalgia. It's able to get past those places. And I think here on the Nostalgia Test, that's what it's about, right? To think, is this movie or this song or this album or this food or TV show or whatever we're doing, is it more than just nostalgic? And so this piece is really going to be all about that. And so if you're on Substack, you can read along. If you're listening to this anywhere else, definitely go to our Substack and, get on there, join the Substack so that you can actually read the piece there. And there's going to be a lot more of these. I'm going to be writing a lot more and putting them up on, in the space there for articles. And we're going to be, expanding our content. So without further ado, this is the piece that I wrote on the song Dreams by the Cranberries. It's called Nostalgic Reflections, the Cranberries' Dreams. What the Cranberries song Dreams is made of. I believe that the 1993 hit song by the Cranberries' Dreams is the most timeless 90s song of all time. Of course, this is purely a personal opinion based on an unexplainable and exponentially growing emotional connection that I'm going to attempt to explain. Now, some might argue that there are way more 90s sounding songs, like Two Princes by Spin Doctors, or Far Behind by Candlebox, or Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. And maybe those are better representations of the 90s style. For me, Dreams transcends beyond nostalgia because at its core, it's a story of finding someone who loves so deeply that you can fearlessly let your wild inner child run free. In the song, lead singer and main lyricist Dolores O'Riordan sings about finding someone who gives us this level of love. Yet there's a moment at the end of the song where without words, her voice embodies a message that this love can come from within. We can gift ourselves the freedom to be this wild inner child in the world without fear. When Dolores O'Riordan sings the opening lyrics, she invites listeners to fully feel the anguish of that exact moment you find yourself just starting to climb out of rock bottom. It's a bittersweet acceptance of life being a journey of unending changes, good and bad and unpredictable. Dolores' voice reaches out to recenter our spinning bodily compasses. Quote, "Oh, my life is changing every day, in every possible way, and oh, my dreams, it's never quite as it seems. never quite as it seems. End quote. It's a song full of complex wonder and sorrow. It pinpoints how it feels when an exact moment of epiphany happens, when it's least expected, like a mix of nostalgia and miracle starting in the chest and then flash floods into each limb. The rush is something beyond warmth and familiarity. Dreams pulls the veil away from the very moment it's played in, revealing the scars and the secrets of the listener's present. It's timeless because our actual dreams know nothing of time. They exist simultaneously parallel to our waking life, and it's in the rare points when these planes intersect that this song materializes. The magic of dreams is powered by Dolores O'Riordan's haunting voice. Her vocals encompass a full spectrum of human experience, from hurt to elation to mourning to acceptance to contemplation to death to birth to mythology. Her voice is a catharsis that holds space for listeners to release into her vocals, to be swept away as if being comfortable with being pulled out to sea. There hasn't been a voice like hers since 1993. And maybe that's why every time I listen to the song it sounds brand new. It's the pulse of her voice that touches the pulse of the audience, and it acknowledges a collective humanity, the painful experiences of living and never being sure how it's all going to end up. And through it all, Dolores sings and sings out loud. One of my favorite times to listen to dreams is in the morning on my way to work, sitting at the back of a quiet Los Angeles bus at 6 a.m. I turn the song on and tiredly stare out the window and let the music remind me to plug back into the oxygen of it all, a reminder to remain present without expectations of any kind. I play this song when my soul is dragging, when my muscles are aching, when I just have no clue why I'm doing this thing that we all do every day, and when I'm looking for a reason to stop holding my breath. When the music comes on, there's this immediate evaporation that happens in my bones and blood and spirit, and I'm just light. I even find myself crying right there on public transportation, watching the sun slowly rise on another day, and it's in those tears that I find my footing. Call it nostalgia or being overworked or feeling drained from the world's overwhelming chaos. Call it desperation, call it grief even. Whatever it is, there's a transcendence the second the music begins, and I'm reminded that I'm alive and breathing with the sonic infusion of unexplained joy and pain of what it means to be human. It's a confused excitement that comes from the knowledge that I can die at any minute, so why not choose to live, right then in the discomfort of not knowing, whatever that may mean. There's a specific way dreams musically unfolds that makes it such a fully embodied listening experience. The song starts with a strong exhale of cymbals, a sound like a single beam of sunlight burning through some heavy clouds. Immediately after, there's a collection of guitar notes that seem to be bouncing through sleeping city streets, like the memories of kisses or tears from the night before. Then more light and neon appear as the first people start stepping out into the steam of the day, and right before they take their first steps into the sunlight, everyone closes their eyes for a split second of silence. A gentle thumping bass guitar. And then Dolores O'Riordan's voice lets us know that the day is set to start and you're ushered into some sort of exciting mystery. It all can feel like the start of some It all can feel like the start of some coming-of-age story that could happen at any stage of a person's life. To come of age is to come into self, many times over and over again. It all can feel like the start of some coming of age. It all can feel like the start of some coming of age story that could happen at any stage of a person's life. To come of age is to come into self many times over again, throughout an entire lifetime. This song, her voice, the nostalgia of it all, and the possibility of the words, quote, then I open up and see the person falling here is me, a different way to be, end quote. It all comes together in a chaos too perfect to be anything but luminescent. I've always thought Dreams would be a great song to open a movie that begins a 24-hour character journey. I've always thought Dreams would be a great song to open a movie that begins a 24-hour character journey. Some heartfelt ensemble film like Empire Records, where after the proverbial smoke clears, everyone and everything is changed forever. Or maybe it's in the cold open of a show's debut episode, and during the song we meet all the main characters, are given a tour of some town or maybe a part of some New York-like city. Maybe it's not even that vast. Maybe we're just in an apartment, and the audience gets to have a slow, mundane, and intimate morning with the character we're about to have an 8-season adventure with, or these days, a shortened season or 2. Dreams is like a signal, an electric shock awakening the mind, body, and spirit so that we're prepared to receive a new energy that's going to shatter the mundanity of our lives. It's an invitation for the universe to complicate all that's around us happily. In my life, I've been closed off to these types of moments more times than I'd like to admit. I know this has cost me time, created scars on my spirit and scars on my skin. Though despite all this resistance, the song persists and O'Riordan's voice continues to reverberate. Though despite all this resistance, the song persists and O'Riordan's voice continues to reverberate across timelines from 1993 to here and now, when I truly need to hear, quote, I want more, impossible to ignore, and they'll come true, end quote. Dreams are ephemeral premonitions we experience during the most vulnerable moments in our lives. It doesn't matter whether we're sleeping or awake. We must be open to accepting them. And that's when we're able to be split wide open by the magic that is this life. All the unpredictable, unknown we pretend to be better than. Our dreams remind us to Dreams are ephemeral premonitions we experience during the most vulnerable moments in our lives. It doesn't matter whether we're sleeping or awake. We must be open to accepting them. And that's when we're able to be split wide open by the magic that is this life. All the unpredictable unknown we pretend to be better than. Our dreams remind us to remain present and aware of our humanity's wildness, our natural state, and in that wildness we find ourselves again. When I listen to Dolores O'Riordan's voice, it awakens that wildness inside that reminds me that I'm alive and anything is possible, even sitting here on an LA bus at 6 a.m. Quote, impossible not to do, possible not to do, end quote. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for listening. That piece really means a lot to me. There's so much in it that even now when I read it, it just sometimes I forget that I wrote what I wrote. It's interesting to see how a song can impact someone. And this is a song that I've been thinking about for a while now. And as you could tell, there's so much joy that I find in it, but there's also a lot of painful catharsis and things that I need from the song to kind of almost remind me of, but also stir up for me so that I can face it. And that, I think, is the beauty of the song, is that even though it is nostalgic, it moves past being nostalgic because it's not bringing me to just that time and period when the song came out. When I think of that song, I see it in the present with me. it's something that has grown with me and that will continue to grow. And it's a song that I think, because of her voice, because of Dolores O'Riordan's voice, and how I've never heard a voice like that ever again. And I'd like to do an episode even more about the Cranberries and their first album, but because her voice can carry so far just in its sound, I think it carries far across those sorts of nostalgic timelines, and it's why it's a song that persists. But until the next one, I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope you enjoyed Nostalgic Reflections. There's going to be more of them. I'm looking forward to writing more. I have so many ideas. And if you like the song Dreams just like I do, or if there's a song that you feel like gives you this sort of feeling, please throw it in the comments. Please tell us in the comments. Substack, please tell us in the comments on Spotify, on Podbean, wherever you listen to this, Apple Podcast, leave a review. We are coming up on, I think, 200 episodes really soon, and we absolutely love doing this, which is why we're continuing to expand our content like this. But thank you so much for listening. Share this with someone that you think would love to hear a very emotional and personal reflection on the song Dreams by the Cranberries. And if the Cranberries are listening, and who have, with the remaining band, this is such an important song, and thank you, and rest in peace, Dolores. And her voice will continue to be a big part of rock history and music history, and we're all grateful to have had her music in our lives. So thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Share this episode with your friends. Subscribe and follow the Nostalgia Test podcast on YouTube, Substack, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Send us your episode ideas and comments, or book us for podcasts and events at thenostalgiatest@gmail.com. Come hang out with us next week, because you never know what pop culture will pop up on the Nostalgia Test.